Flus, how you doing?
Good, chap. How you doing?
Good. Just in general, sometimes after we watch a game from the outside, we tend to dwell on the negatives, the big plays. How do you parse out a game like that where there were good stretches, but there were too many bad stretches?
Yeah, I think you do as a coach, and you're evaluating these tapes over the years. I think that what you want to do is you want to take out the good and build on that, and then also make the corrections. And I think every performance that you have, it doesn't matter, in the preseason, real season, playoff game, you have to be able to take out the good and also look at the bad objectively. And how can I get better as a coach, and how can I get better as a player in that? And every performance is different. We could, if you win by 3, lose by 3, or win by 14 or lose by 14, there's always good and bad. It always comes down to that 6 or 8 plays of execution that you need to have. And we always look at those plays, but that's what it is as the individual player and coach.
JJ?
Hey, Matt, Darius had his 10th forced fumble of his career on Sunday. How do you coach that? How do you coach that into a player?
Yeah, I think you look at the ball securities, in terms of like the opponent you're playing, when your opportunities come and when your chances are there. And I think it's his daily habits, daily habits of his practice habits. If you watch him in practice, he's constantly doing that. That's something that's a muscle memory thing for him. And, he's really our guy that does it the most in practice, and you therefore see it in the game. So that one there was very similar to the one he had years ago, his first rookie year. I believe it was out at Oakland maybe, but very similar to that. It was a really good punch, great opportunity for our football team there. And he did a really good job.
How much of getting those, peanut punches essentially is timing, but also kind of knowing when to take your shots with that?
Yeah, I think there's an innate ability for sure, the ability to see that and the timing of it, and then the talent level to be able to do that, like Tillman did and like Darius does. There's certainly an innate ability to do that, and guys can learn from that because he's constantly doing it, and every time he makes a tackle, he has a strip attempt. So he's really good at
it. Georgia Bremer.
Coach, from our standpoint, it looked like you brought a little more pressure on Sunday than maybe normally we've seen from this defense. If so, was that something more a matchup with Seattle, or is that something that might be more common this season?
Yeah, I think with the pressures, you mix those in. It depends on, who you're playing and what you think you can get an advantage on. But I do think that we have to do it better. We have to do it better. We have to time it up better. We have to blitz better. We have to do it better. And this is really the attention to detail, of the pressures and of the way we do it. Our disposition, I think, has to improve through the course of the season. That was, obviously a few examples of those pressures and different types of things that we're going to do. But, we just got to get better at it as the season goes.
Bob Kravitz.
Matt, as someone who really appreciates great defensive players and great defensive play, what makes Aaron Donald Aaron Donald? Well,
when you look at him, in terms of his ability to win the one-on-one matchups, it doesn't matter if he's getting blocked, doesn't matter who that is, and he plays with great length for his size. Extremely powerful, elite athlete, elite feet, and the elite ability to close to the quarterback. And if you leave him one-on-one, it's an issue. It's an issue. So what teams will do with him is they'll do different things with him to put 2 guys on him. Bring in the center, bringing different guys to him, and that's just who he is. And he's done that for a long time, and he's a special guy.
Stephen Holder.
Hey, Matt, following up on George's question about blitzing, when you're dealing with a dynamic player like Russell, I don't know that there's like great options, but what goes into the decision whether to bring a lot of pressure against a guy like that or to play coverage, which is something you typically do. He can beat you either way, obviously. So how does that decision making kind of go about or come about, excuse me, over the course of a week? What are the variables, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, you look at the pressure reel, and you look at things where you think you could take an advantage of either a certain lineman, a certain protection. You pick your shots when you want to do that. And I think it's just the study of the coaches. I have each coach assigned for first and second down pressure, and I have coaches assigned for third down pressure. They bring in the report to me. We watch the tape together, and then we marinate on it and talk about it and go through the schematics of it. And then we decide what we're going to do, and we practice it, and then we look at it. And typically we'll start the week with more pressures, and then we'll come down to the end part of the week, and we'll take a couple off. Hey, we really like the way this one looks on first and second down. This one looks good in 2 minutes. This one looks good in third down or in the red zone. And then we just carry those to the game. And there'll be a few of them that we have that we had practiced over the course of a couple of weeks that we carry over from game to game. We just didn't run it in the game. We didn't get a chance to run it. So we like it. We'll keep it on the menu board and just keep practicing it, and then we'll put it in the game. So that happens all the time too. But it's really just a course of watching the tape and then doing our study, and then what looks good on the practice field.
Is there also something to be said for what you generally live by, which is, you keep it pretty simple and you guys kind of do what you do and do it well. How much is that still the fundamental, cornerstone of what you do? I guess what I'm saying is, is this more of a one-time thing?
Yeah, Stephen, that it's fundamentals, the old align, assign, key, and technique, right? That's who we are, and that's where we always lean to. We're always leaning to that. We're always leaning on the basic fundamentals and the rudiments of the game. And you know what? And the biggest thing with the first performance is to get better. We have to get better as a group. We have to get better with our block protection, our block destruction, and getting off blocks, how we play with good length. We got to do a great job. We do a better job with hamstring tackling and tackling. We have to do a better job with our angles. We have to do a better job across the board. And that happens all the time. It can happen in the middle of the season. It could happen later in the season. You got to just reset yourself. And that's what you do when you have a performance that you're not, we didn't play as well as we wanted to. You always go back to the fundamentals. And that's with any sports that way. And we're going to do the same thing.
Joel Erickson.
Hey, Flus, how much different is it rushing from the interior, like where Buck has to do, than it is from rushing outside in terms of just style of pass rush?
Well, I think number one, it's the angle. It's the angle and the space. When you're the farther you're away from the ball, the space, the timing's different. So meaning that the timing's going to happen later. That's why you need those speed rushers so they can create time, and close the time and space, because the tackles are, you're farther away from the ball. Whereas when you're inside, the action happens fast, so you're going to be on the guy. Like if you're over the center, that's happening right now. Over the guard, it happens a little bit later. So the timing of your punch and getting on the offensive lineman so you can work your move and stay on the edges, that's where we got to do a good job. So I would just say the timing of it.
For somebody like Buckner, how much of it is trying to maximize spots where you're not double teamed?
Yeah. So again, you're just trying to see where they're sliding their protection and see where they're working their protection at, and try to get him in the best spots available. And that's what we need to do. And when he gets his one-on-ones, he knows he's got to win those, and he's got to get pressure on those. And we had an opportunity last week where it was a one-on-one with the center, and did a nice job winning on that, on his sack.
Matt Taylor. Matt, you there? All right, we'll go to chat.
Flus, you always maximize your personnel. You had eight defensive linemen play snaps, which is generally what you do. I guess from the outside looking in, one of the surprises was Bandy, who got 6 snaps. I guess what went into that, much more Muhammad than Banagu. What went into your thinking?
Yeah, so Ben was slated to play in the NASCAR group And we really only had 6 to 8 reps, I want to say, of the NASCAR group. And that was his starting role and his role for the last week. And that's what happened. Typically, you'll get more of those. You'll get, some 2 minutes, things. We didn't get any 2 minute last week, and we just got a few third downs. I think it was 6 or 8 of them, and those are the reps that he got. So it just kind of worked out that way. And that's where we were last week.
All right, Matt, you want to try your question again?
Can you hear me? Sorry about that.
Yes, sir. We got you.
All right, Coach, I know you talked about this a little bit last year, but second half defense last year, I think the Colts were 4th in overall defense in the second half. Why do you guys think you're so good at making second half adjustments? And then what can you do to bring that second half performance in the first half against a really good offense against the LA Rams?
Yeah, I think the second part of your question is the one that's more important. How do we play more consistent, through the course of the entire game? So, you typically get, 10 to 11, 12, maybe series in a game. Sometimes it's a little bit less than that. So we have to maximize and take those things one play at a time, one series at a time, and do a great job of executing. So, there's really no magic pill that you take at halftime and all of a sudden come out and play better. We just have to do a better job of being consistent. And we got to do that in practice. We're going to set it up where, in practice we have these periods are going to be, first quarter, second quarter, and execute, later in the week, and then do it, third quarter, fourth quarter. And just so the guys understand, hey, this is where we are in the game. So we can do some simulation there, first and second quarter, third quarter, fourth quarter, when we get to our first, second, third down defenses. So, just to have it on the guy's mind to be able to execute during those times. And that's really what it comes down to. It's really one play every single time, turn the page and play to the next play. And that's how we get more consistent. And that's what we want to do, going forward.
All right. Thank you for your time, Coach.
Okay. Thanks, guys.